Welcome to the Invest for More Real Estate Podcast. My name is Mark Ferguson, and I am your host. I'm an active real estate investor in today's market, having done over 140 flips. I flip from 15 to 30 houses a year. I buy residential and commercial rental properties, and I'm an agent with a team behind me who have sold thousands of houses over the years. So on this show, I talk about myself, my career, and advice, as well as interview other amazing agents, wholesalers, landlords, flippers, and the companies that help those people succeed. So before we get started, if you're interested in help from me, I've got discounts on my coaching products just for podcast listeners. Head over to investformore.com/discount. That's investformore, invest, FOURMORE.com/discount. And you'll see coupon codes for my coaching products. I have video training series on flipping, on getting great deals, training for agents, training for rental properties as well. And many of those come with personal coaching from me. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy the show, and let's get started. Hey, it's Mark, and we're back with another podcast. Today, I'm interviewing someone who I had actually interviewed before in the past, and I wanted to do a series of interviews where I talked to regular investors, maybe kind of did almost like a slight coaching call, and then followed up with them in a year or two to see how they're doing. So this is the first of those, and we're going to be talking with Dean Ueda, who was on podcast number 56. That was back in June of 2016 when it was published. And Dean is from Hawaii, bought houses in Chicago, Las Vegas, Denver, Hawaii. And then last time we were talking to him, he had just gotten his real estate license or was getting it. So love to catch up with Dean, see what he's up to now, see how things have changed. And hopefully things are going well for him. So Dean, thank you so much for being on the show. How are you doing?
Great, Mark. Thanks for having me again. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, no, great to have you on. First, I'd like to start off just kind of a brief history, I guess. We talked about it in the first one. But can you give us just, how you got into real estate and how your investing evolved over the years a little bit?
Oh, yeah, sure. So I guess my understanding of the power of real estate started in 2003 when I bought my first, it was my primary residence actually. And so I picked that. It was a small townhouse, but I sold it within 5 years I sold it, and it had increased. It had appreciated by almost 90%. So that was like a 18% appreciation annually. So when I sold it in 2008, I got to benefit from the tax shelter of being an owner occupant. So I think that started it all in helping me realize at least the appreciation side of, the power that real estate investing can have. And from there, I moved on to investing outside of the state of Hawaii, mainly because of the fact that Hawaii has it's very expensive and the rent to value ratio is very low. So then I moved on to Las Vegas as my first actual investment property. And so that started it all, I think, was my primary residence and then starting in Las Vegas. Just from there, I started looking all across the state for more cash flow opportunities. My goal was to find more cash flowing properties, and I was okay with looking outside of Hawaii to get that kind of cash on cash return. So as you mentioned, I also have purchased in Denver, Chicago, Milwaukee, and my most recent area of interest is Kansas City, Missouri.
Very cool. Yeah, I was very impressed with how the variety of places you've bought in. it's very diversified for sure. Now, you sold the Las Vegas one. Do you still have the other rentals that you bought?
So Las Vegas, yeah, as I mentioned in the previous podcast, I did a 1031 exchange for that property. I also sold Denver. I do have I believe I have the ones that were discussed in the past, yeah, and I was able to pick up a few more, yeah.
Okay, very cool. So let's talk about that. How you bought in Milwaukee. I know you talked about before about how you chose Denver because you like to snowboard there, you like to go to Las Vegas. Was Milwaukee more of a cash flow area? Is that how you chose to buy there?
Yeah, Milwaukee was a cash flow play, and that was actually through a turnkey provider that I believe was referred by you. And that one is one of those, you're looking for a lot of my friends in Hawaii ask me, oh, why Milwaukee, and that's one of the areas that is one of those steady eddies where it sounds really boring, but, boring can be good, especially in the real estate world. So they have a lot of the renters to owner occupants is relatively high. Again, the rent to value ratios are high also, and a lot of, strong rental market. Yeah.
I think Nate Armstrong, who's on my podcast, one of my first podcasts, is who helped you out with that one with his turnkey company there. And that's one of the companies I was thinking about using if I did another turnkey. Can you tell us kind of a little bit about the numbers, how much you paid for it and how much it rents for?
So that property I paid for, I think it was $71,000, and it's currently renting out for a little over $1,000. And again, this was 2 or 3 years back, maybe 2 years ago. But my understanding is that the numbers may not look as good, so I don't want to throw anybody off that might be calling Nate today. My understanding is the returns have, I guess, prices have gone up, and maybe everything's been equalizing or whatnot, and so the numbers might not have been good. But yeah, at that time, all in at 73, renting out above 1,000 was pretty solid to me, and a single family home, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I know it's been tough everywhere to find, especially Colorado, to find rentals now with prices going up. And I've still heard Milwaukee's a decent place to invest, but yeah, it has had a stronger market as well, which is great for the properties you already have, but it makes it tough to buy new ones.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I shouldn't talk for them, but I believe Nate folks are starting to look into other areas too. And one of them might even be is Chicago, I think.
Yeah, I know. I think they have some stuff in Chicago. They've looked at different markets. I feel like, maybe even Iowa. I can't remember for sure.
Yep.
But I know they're starting to look at different markets.
They're in Davenport, and I think prior to that, they might have been in St. Louis for a bit. But yeah, apparently Nate folks are pretty dynamic in moving to areas that make financial sense for them, and for the investors, I should say.
Well, very cool. How was the process buying that? Was it pretty simple and easy?
Yeah, pretty simple. I think my salesperson Susan is the one who actually got me to pull the trigger, and I really appreciated her amongst for the entire process, I think, and even to this day, she's the one that got me sold on again pulling the trigger. That was my first turnkey provider purchase, I guess.
And did you use financing or did you pay cash for that one?
So that one, I believe most of their deals are cash deals. They're kind of like a hybrid turnkey provider. I call them hybrid just because I think they're passing on the contract for the property to you, the buyer, and then in the meantime, doing the rehab and trying to get the tenant in at the same time. So it's a little bit unique of a process for that company. And now I think in terms of property management, they've outsourced it. Yeah, but I should let them talk to that.
Oh, no, it's okay. I like talking because I don't get a chance to talk to many people who go through this process and complete it. So that's one reason I'm asking these questions. It's nice to see how it went, if there was things that went wrong, if there are things that went well.
Okay. That's totally cool. But actually, like I said, the hiccup for me and the challenge for me, if we were talking about that, is there was some transition because property management for them was in-house for a while, and then they had some transition in that, and it was at the same time that my tenant turnover too. That coupled with the fact that it was the dead of winter, that made things a lot challenging. So now going through that internal transition with their property management team, and then subsequently moving to outsource their property management services, I think was when you talk about challenges, that was a big thing for me. So actually, I'm considering moving on, and it was a good process, but now I think I have focusing in on other areas like Kansas City. That's kind of like the place I visited last year, so I'm kind of trying to look for investments there now.
Okay, no, that makes sense. And for people who want a really easy process of buying properties, I think turnkeys can be a good investment, but they can come with challenges as well. Like I have a turnkey in Cleveland where I've had 3 different property management companies already. And it's been, it still made some money, but they never seem to do quite as well as you think they will. And you're usually not getting as good a deal as if you could do it all on your own.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think to your point, if you're starting out in real estate investing, I think, and you're trying to do, not in your backyard, then turnkey providers are like a great way to start. And like you said, it leaves a little work for you and you, the investor, that is. And also to your point, you're not going to have, there's not going to be less, I guess. The deals won't be as good as if you were to go another route, but that's because there's a middleman there. But I totally agree with you. Your turnkey provider is a great way to start. I feel like I'm kind of going through a process now where I can move on from that and try other venues, where there's more meat on the plate left for me on the back end.
Nope, that makes perfect sense to me. And so let's talk about that. What you said you're looking at Kansas City. What's kind of your plan and goals for that right now?
Oh yeah, so I guess since we last talked 2 years ago, and I think it was actually, I have you to thank that one of the listeners from that podcast ended up calling me, and since then we became business partners. He's become a client and real estate client as well as, a good friend. But I went in with him. We got a wholesale deal in Kansas City for a duplex. That deal went out pretty well, I think. And I know we're at double digits cash on cash return, as well as I'm also in contract for another duplex in Kansas City, and that was through a realtor friend that we had made on my trip last year. So yeah, I'm hopefully by the end of this month I'll have 2 in Kansas City, both duplexes. Yeah.
Nice. Do you mind talking about the numbers on those a little bit and what they rent for and what they cost?
Yeah. So the wholesale deal, we picked it up for I think $86,000. They're renting out under market, so I think we're getting approximately 500 and 500 on each side. But we had one tenant move out, and we just got a lease for about 800. So if we can get 800 on each side, 1,600, and that's like 2% ratio rent to value ratio, pretty good, I think.
No, that's great.
Yeah, and then the other Kansas City duplex that I'm in contract for through my realtor, my broker in Kansas City, that one I'm in contract at $250,000. It's in a nice area, really good schools. That one is also rented under market. I think it's pulling in a little under $1,000 per door, so maybe $2,000, but the $2,000 total, for monthly rent. But the market rent, we're hoping in the long run will pull in maybe $1,300, so maybe $2,600 total for monthly. So we'll be above the 1% rent to value rule.
Were those in pretty good shape? They need any work on them?
So the part of the reason why we did that wholesale deal was because I'm kind of going on a tangent now, but that it was a wholesale deal, so we were less, I don't know if you could say it was more risky, but sorry, to answer your question, I guess both of them, they needed some work, but both were fully tenanted, so there was less risk that there would be a lot of repairs, I guess. There is some deferred maintenance. I think when we had the transition in the wholesale deal, I think we put in about $5K repairs and maintenance to get that one up to rent out at 800.
Okay. No, that makes sense. That's not too bad. But it sounds like pretty good deal for that wholesale one for sure.
Yeah, that one turned out really well, but that was my partner's first wholesale deal, and since then I think he's gotten a lot, learned a lot, and learned the process, and he's doing a lot more since then. Awesome. Without me, of
course. So you've got the properties in Kansas City now, Milwaukee. Are you thinking of keeping the one in Milwaukee, or are you thinking about selling it? What's your plan for that one?
I think just yesterday we went into contract to sell, and it has, assuming the appraisal comes in, we'll be at a slight positive from what we bought it at. So it has appreciated.
That's good. Cool. So I know one other thing that we talked about on the last podcast, and I'm curious about how that's gone, is I can't remember if you got your real estate license or you were getting it. So what's happened with that? How has that evolved, and has that helped over the last couple of years?
Actually, that's helped a lot. At the point in time when we had last talked, I think I passed the exam, and I just was wondering where to hang my license. So I ended up hanging it with Keller Williams, which I'm very happy with, in Honolulu. And maybe the last year, maybe last July, business started picking up. I've been helping out friends and family. So maybe I've had about 5 transactions since last July, and it's been going great. I really enjoy helping people out, and one of those persons was an investor too, so I enjoy helping people do that. And on top of that, I also was able to use my license, my real estate license helped benefit me from getting 2 investment properties on Oahu. And one of those properties probably wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't been a real estate salesperson with my brokerage. Reason being was that it's kind of like an off-market deal because the seller was actually an agent with the brokerage, and he had just pretty much off-market because he just posted it internally with the brokerage if anyone was interested. So I went to check it out, and he had a very good, reasonable offer price, so I picked that one up without it even being listed, yeah. Besides that, I also used my real estate sales license to, I sold my residence last year, and I moved in with my mother-in-law, kind of like, I guess, what they call it on Bigger Pockets, house hacking, right?
Right.
So I got to benefit from that, and also kind of segueing out to the fact that I downsized my mortgage so that I can have more money to invest now, now that I'm quote unquote house hacking.
Right. No, that's awesome. And I always love to hear about how, things have worked out. We always talk to people and hear what their plans are, but we don't ever follow up with them to see how they went. With the 5 transactions, for some people that might not seem like a lot, but you're in Hawaii. I'm sure your average price on those transactions was relatively high.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, it's very expensive. I mean, I think as of March, our median single-family home price is at $760,000, and our median condo price is at $435,000. I think $435,000. It's definitely a seller's market too. I mean, we have average days on market is like 15 days, and our months on inventory is less than 3. I think we're like at 2.5 months. So it's very much a seller's market. Those 5 deals, I think, range from $275,000 to $760,000, and I think a little under $3 million in transactions for that 5.
Nice, very nice. I get questions like this too that I want to ask you. In places like Hawaii, maybe Southern California, what's the competition like with other real estate agents? Are there just real estate agents everywhere? Is it really tough, or is it not as bad as you might think it is?
I mean, there are a lot of real estate agents in Hawaii, and my understanding is that's all over the country because of how the market is going right now and how the market has been for the last, 6-8 years. But it's kind of like that whole 80-20 rule, right, where 80% of the business is done by 20% of the agents, and that number might even be, 90-10. So, for me, that 5 was pretty cool for the first year, but I can definitely see the possibilities for an agent who's willing to put in the work to be very successful in what they do. So, like you said, there's a lot of agents out there. There are many agents out there, but there's definitely potential to be a successful agent, and I kind of looking forward to the possibilities, of what I could potentially do. Haven't tapped into it fully yet, but as I said, I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy talking to people, meeting them, and also trying to make them do a decision that's fiscally responsible, especially in areas like Hawaii where the cost of living is so high, the cost of real estate is so high, and people are always, trying to max out whatever they can purchase in terms of when they get pre-qualified and for, whatever amount purchase price. I like to come from the standpoint of, well, that's the maximum you can get. And, that still might not be exactly what they want or their dream house, but my thoughts are, like the whole Kiyosaki thing where, you don't want to buy liabilities, you want to buy assets and income earning assets. So I try to bring that aspect and that added value to my real estate salesperson persona, I guess you could say.
That makes a lot of sense. I completely agree with you on all those points you just made about the 90. I think it is more like the 90-10 rule where 90% of agents don't do any business. 10% of the agents do 90% of the business. And I think, agents can be very successful if they follow, training, really go at it, with hard work and diligence and a plan. And you've done great starting out. So congratulations on that. And yeah, helping people make the right decisions. That's probably the best thing an agent can do is, like you said, a lender will tell you can buy a house for $500,000. That doesn't mean you can really afford that house. If you can buy a smaller house, you'll be much better off in the long run.
Yep.
One other question for you about your real estate license. What do you think was the most surprising thing or thing you didn't expect in the business after you got your license?
And I got to think about that. Oh, one thing might be all of the administrative time that it takes for the paperwork and compliance, maybe. That could be one thing. Another thing, too, is a lot of these hidden costs that you're not aware about. And I don't know if I should be talking about this kind of thing, but just, sometimes you hear, okay, this is the split from your brokerage, but there's a lot of costs or fees that come in after that. Don't make the split.
No, and it's very true because I'm starting my own brokerage now.
Yeah, congratulations. I heard about, I want to ask you another question, like how did you come up with a name for Blue Steel?
Oh, that was a mix of different things. So one of them was my cars because I have the blue Lotus and the blue Lamborghini. So they're Blue Steel. And then another thing was just one of my favorite movies of all time is Zoolander. And that was one of his. So Zoolander did have something to do with it.
Awesome. That was what I was thinking when I heard that too. And I was, okay, cool. Awesome. I like that. I love the name.
No, but just because even under another broker, you have a lot of costs, like you said. You might have to pay for MLS. For a realtor, you have to pay for board dues. You have to pay some office fees if you want an office in the actual office. Sometimes you have to pay for color copies, signs, depending on the office how it's set up. Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff, and you've got to have your own your insurance. There are a lot of costs that aren't always disclosed. And then when you're owning an own brokerage, there's even more because you're paying for, double the insurance. You're paying double for MLS stuff, staff, copiers, office supplies. There's just a lot of different things that go into it, website. So there are a lot of costs and it can be tough to plan for everything until you're actually in it and doing it. And you realize, wow, I didn't plan for all this. But no, there's a lot that goes on. And then, the administrative side of being an agent, a lot of people think you just show houses and do listings, but there's a lot of paperwork that goes into it and a lot of administrative stuff. You've got to make sure everything's done right, or you can get in a lot of trouble with the real estate commission. It's a very serious problem, if you're not doing everything correct per your state rules. Understood.
Yeah. And that's why I can see the need for all of the paperwork and the administrative work for compliance purposes. Yeah. That's understood.
Very cool. Well, congratulations on doing well as an agent. That's exciting. And very good job. Now,
Thank you.
Yep. One other thing, you said you bought some more houses in Hawaii. I know there's a big difference between buying in Kansas City and Hawaii for investment properties. What were the investment properties like that you bought in Hawaii?
They're actually not that bad. Like I said, my overall goal is to get, good cash flows and a good cash-on-cash return. But the properties the two that I picked up in Hawaii were, both in the $200,000 range, and they're getting, one of them's getting, I think, a little over $2,000 in rent, and the other is gonna get about $1,800 in rent. So a little less than the 1% rule, but I think I'm saving in terms of property management costs and just the fact that the properties are on Oahu. The areas aren't as good as my other investments, but I think in this case it's more just the opportunity had popped up for these two units, and again they're like small 3-bedroom walk-ups, about 800 square feet. In my mind, I think it's sort of like a blend where you get a little bit of the cash flow and hopefully a little bit of appreciation, and then the comfort that this is something that's truly, that's in my backyard. So worst comes to worst, I can go out and handle things on my own.
Right. No, I mean, those numbers are better than you can get in Colorado right now. So that's not bad at all. And then I'm sure, when you buy them, like you said, the one was a good deal from networking as an agent, and you probably saved a commission on it, or at least a percentage of a commission on it as well. So no, I'm always a big fan of being able to buy in your backyard if the numbers work. That's for sure.
And again, the benefits of being a real estate agent, my brokerage is very much into promoting investments. Yeah, so we get a deal on the splits if it's for our personal purchase or sale or for our own investment purposes. So that's something that I appreciate and have benefited from.
Right. No, that's a really good point, because a lot of people ask me that. They're like, hey, if I'm a real estate agent, I might save a commission, but I still have to pay a split to my broker. So I'm not really saving that much. But most companies, most brokerages allow you at least, one a year, if not a couple a year, where you get a break on paying a split if you own the property personally, or maybe even you don't pay a split at all if it's your own personal property. So you can get that break if you're not doing, if you're doing like 10 deals a year, yeah, they're probably going to want part of it. But if you're just doing a couple a year, it's definitely a huge advantage.
I agree. And some people, I hear, it's a double-edged sword though, because I think as a real estate salesperson, we are held to a higher standard, for that fact. And that's actually a disclosure on the purchase contract. So something to also consider. I hear on podcasts or read on blogs where people go back and forth in terms of real estate investors should or should not get their real estate salesperson license. So that's on the other side of the coin. Yeah, it's something to consider. Yeah.
Right. No, for sure. And I've heard that argument as well. And for me personally, because we buy off market properties, we do direct mail, and you do have to disclose you're an agent. But many times it can almost be an advantage to show, hey, if you use it in the right way, I'm an agent. I'm looking to buy the house, not list it. But you can look me up. You can see I'm licensed. You can see, I'm really easy to find. I've got a background. I've been in the area for a long time. I'm not just some random investor who could disappear and you'll never find me again. So being an agent can actually have advantages as well. Although I do understand why some people don't want to go through the disclosure, the paperwork, all of that comes with being an agent.
Yeah. And for me, when I sold my primary residence, I didn't list it or sell it. I had my signing broker sell it for me, and then I just got a percentage. And the main reason why I did that is because our insurance didn't cover personal sales. So I made the decision to just be conservative, have someone else sell it for me, and just get a smaller portion of the benefits of being an agent. And I think that was the safer way to go. Still benefited it, not as much, but I didn't want to have that uneasy feeling of not having the coverage.
Right. Nope, that makes sense. And for my own personal properties, technically I don't list them or buy them. An agent on my team does it. So we have the same situation where it's, another agent representing me, but they understand for being on my team that they have to put their name on there pretty much. And
okay.
Yep, we do most of the work. Very cool. Well, Dean, what goals do you have for the future? It sounds like you've done pretty well on the agent side, buying more investment properties. Do you have any big things on the horizon, or are you just kind of following the path you're on right now?
Still, I'm following the path, like you said, trying to, build up my passive cash flow. I'm also trying to start up a website that will hopefully provide information for people like me, who are starting off 2 years ago when I talked to you, getting people more comfortable with real estate investing either here or across the states. Also trying to do some more, I don't know if you call it, kind of like marketing, I guess, getting into some video, I think, was what I'm trying to do in the next, that's on the horizon, I guess. Yeah.
Very cool. What's your website called? You're welcome to tell us what that is. Okay,
it's still in under construction, but I think I have my first blog up there and it's realestatehighlife.com. That's realestatehighlife.com. So if people want to check that out, I have at least one blog up there for the benefits of buying real estate. So yeah, that'd be cool. Thanks for that.
Oh yeah, no problem. And we'll link to it on our page notes too as well. Very cool. Well, Dean, I have one more question for you before we head out of here. Great job so far. I guess in the last couple of years since we did the last podcast, maybe you can give us a couple, what are some of the things you've learned over the last 2 years that maybe you didn't know when we did the last podcast? I know I might be putting you on the spot, but if it's investing or being an agent, what are a couple of things that you think you've learned the last couple of years?
Well, I really like the abundance mindset, where I enjoy going through the process of acquiring real estate, and I also enjoy sharing my story as well. And I'm an open book. As you can see, I share my numbers because I want people to to learn the power of real estate investing. And I think being open and sharing about things like that to whoever, I really enjoy that. And I think with that abundance mindset, things come back to you. I just borrowed the book from the library called The Go-Giver, and I'm reading that, but I think that goes along with my current mindset where you're trying to, help others and it'll come back to you, So that I like that as something that I don't know if it's something I recently learned, but that's something that I'm trying to continue and get better at. And the reason why I bring that up too is because I don't know if it's a cultural thing in Hawaii, but a lot of times if there's, something good, you keep it for yourself because you don't want to share it with others. There might not be enough to go around or whatnot, but I don't know if that's a local Hawaii Asian mindset, but I'm going with, more with the mindset of, you want to share with others and it'll come back. Besides that, I think that's the biggest thing that I'm learning and trying to develop. Oh, one more thing that I've been trying to do is in the morning, the miracle morning, going through a little bit more of a ritual in the morning and, doing affirmations, being happy for what I have, just so that it starts off my day in a positive way, and that kind of sets the tone for the rest of my day. So that's another thing that I'm trying to keep up. Those two things, I guess.
No, that's great. And yeah, I great attitude, and I try to do those things as well. It's hard sometimes when things aren't going your way, but that's kind of when you need them the most. So great things to share. And I think our attitude has a lot to do with our success. It's not just how much we work or what we work on, but how we think about things in our life as well. Dean, well, great job. I think that's all I had. I guess one last thing I'd say is, hey, if anybody wants to buy houses in Hawaii or reach out to you, what's the best way for them to find you?
They can shoot me an email. I think that would be great. Or if they go to the Real Estate High Life, that would also have my contact information there. Or they can email me. It's Ueda@gmail.com.
Cool. All right, Dean. Well, thank you so much. You did an awesome job. Anything else you want to add before we head out of here?
No, that's about it. Appreciate you, Mark, for allowing me to be on this podcast again. I think, it benefits me a lot, and I hope it helps your viewers.
No, it's been great. I've had a lot of people who commented how much they like kind of talking to people who are investing now and who might not be, have 200 units or whatever it is, but kind of in the process of building instead of someone who's already there, and how it's easier to relate. So, and I think it's really cool hearing your story about getting your license, the different places you've invested, different things you've tried out. So yeah, I think it's a great help, and you did a really good job. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Dean. Well, yeah, take care. Keep in touch. And if you have any questions for me, please let me know. And good work and good luck with everything in the future.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you.